good morning, Blue Troopers. Max of Max's Models here. And after the live stream last night, I decided, as I said, I would get started on that Stuka, the 148 scale Monogram Pro Modeler. That's 85-5975 is the kit number. And I went ahead and got everything laid out here in the office. Of course, I won't be painting it here, but I thought I'd get started on it. Laid out all the sprues. Everything looked pretty clean. There was a little bit of flash in a few spots, but nothing serious. This kit came out about 2002, and I believe it's the first time Monogram made an R version of the Stuka, which was the long-range version, thus the drop tanks. And they had been making the B model for a long time in variations. I remember that thing coming out in the late 60s, and I actually built, I think, what was in the original boxing. The first one I got, it was the Tank Buster version, and then they released it later on in a couple of different versions. But the R model, I believe, didn't come out until 2002, and there were quite a few differences between the R model and the Ds, but the R model is actually an earlier version, thus the rather large profile versus the somewhat more streamlined profile of the D models. That causes a lot of confusion because of the unusual German naming system, because the R model, which stood for range because it was a long range version, was actually a modified B2 version, I believe, which was one of the early versions with that gigantic chin scoop. And then when they realized the airplane after the Battle of Britain, which was mostly fought, I believe, by D models and R models, they realized, hey, this thing's got to go faster. They started a program. They wound up rearranging the radiators to streamline the airplane and the canopy. In fact, that gigantic radiator was moved under the wings, and a smaller radiator was put for the oil cooler, which is why you lost that big notch on top. So anyway, kind of quick and dirty on the Stuka. So I got started, looked at it. It's good, clean instructions, reasonably well laid out. What you would expect from Monogram. The decals look good. A couple of versions are available. The clear parts look good. Although I did notice it was a mistake. They have the gun sight and the instrument panel given the same designation, but the gun sight is actually a clear part, and the clear parts are labeled K. And so that was a little bit of a mistake there, but no experience model. I mean, it's the Pro Modeler series. You should be able to dodge a couple of landmines. So I got the desk organized. First thing you do is start on the cockpit, and this does seem like a nice revamping of the original kit, but it's pretty reminiscent of the original kit in a lot of ways. So I don't think they probably cleaned up the molds, and of course they had to make a new cowling and everything. That's a separate cowling and stuff, but overall, it largely is reminiscent of the original kit. Seems to go together the same way. I think the big challenge I'm going to face, which is always the case with these spatted wheels, is getting everything, the wheels and everything painted, installed, and then sanding down the seam lines, which is always in the front, and getting that blended out and everything without damaging the wheels that you pretty much have to put in when you put the spats together. I don't know, the nibs on them are kind of short. I suppose you could pop them into place afterwards, but you always risk cracking the seam that you just filed down. So anyway, once I got the cockpit done, I started working on the engine cowling, which is, as I mentioned, is completely different, has more parts than the original, but there were no alignment pins on the top and bottom of the cowling, but the parts fit pretty well, but I did have to clamp it down to get it held in place. So I've got the inside laid in. It just says light gray. Actually, a lot of Luftwaffe aircraft, you can actually buy the RLM colors for Luftwaffe interiors, but this just on the instruction sheet says light gray, which is what it's molded in. I don't think you have to get too into the weeds. Although this does not come with pilots or gunners, and it does have an openable canopy. So given that it's a greenhouse canopy, you will be able to see the inside pretty well. So you might want to detail it out a little bit before you put it in. And I'll probably take it out and, prime it and give it some gray and some touch-ups on, of course, the black instrument panel, and perhaps a, maybe black radios or something, and you know, a few little spruces. It has that little seat that the Stuka gunner had, and that's actually a two-piece unit. You could pre-paint it, but given what happened with the Oscar Deuce when I pre-painted stuff and the glue got on, I think I'm just going to go ahead and let the glue get solidified and then paint in situ, because we're just talking about a little bit of detail work. Shouldn't be a big deal. Famous last words. So anyway, I've got letting these pieces harden. I did test fit the wings, and the fit doesn't seem any better than the regular kit. So it's not bad. There's no problem with it, but it's like, you know, the Pro Modeler, I'm not seeing much that's super duper different than the other kit about it. And of course, if you're going to make the R2 model, you'll probably want to put the drop tanks on it, because it was a long range version, and they were actually restricted to like a 500 or 550 pound bomb when they carried those drop tanks, because the plane could actually get overweight. It only had a 1200 horse engine, so that's, you know, and had to drag all that parasite drag through the sky. Anyway, guys, that's where I got this morning. I want to thank everyone who made the live stream. Hope you're all doing well. I am extending the 3-of-a-kind build till about the 10th of next month, just because I'm getting behind also. Well, guys, you take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you later. And as always, model on.